Faith Church, hope you're well. It's Friday, July 30th. Really hard to believe that we're almost into August, but we are. Sunday, I'm going to be preaching on the next mutuality command that we're looking at this summer, which is our call to serve one another. And this particular book by Jerry Sittser called Love One Another has been my inspiration for thinking about this whole series this summer. And I just want to use this video today to retell a story that he tells at the beginning of his chapter in here on serve one another. I found it pretty inspirational, so let me just read to you. He writes this: in its simplest form, service means that one person cares for another person. Alice was one such person. She roomed across the hall from Tricia during her freshman year of college. Tricia was a bright, happy, friendly young woman, competent and successful academically, active in her church, and busy every day of the week. But Tricia had muscular dystrophy, which left her with only partial use of her arms and no use of her legs. She lived in a wheelchair. At the end of the year, Alice asked Tricia if she could be her roommate. Though surprised, Tricia agreed. Every day, Alice dressed Tricia, combed her hair, made her bed, washed her clothes, turned her over during the night, gave her a shower, took her to the bathroom, helped her get exercise, and maintained her motorized wheelchair. Such service was demanding, but it became a part of the daily schedule. There were days, Alice told me, when I did not feel like serving. These feelings were usually followed by guilt. Tricia depended on me and could not function without my help. I had to put aside my selfish feelings and meet her needs first. If I did not change my attitude, but rather went through the motions to help her, Tricia would sense that through the way I handled her. I soon learned that serving is not only what you do, it's an attitude of the heart. Alicia came to do more than take care of Tricia's personal needs. She carried Tricia up flights of stairs so she could attend a friend's surprise birthday party. She even took her sledding. In a push and a big whoosh, Alice said, we were speeding down the hill. We ended up a wipeout at the bottom of the hill and snow on our faces. We never laughed so hard. Going down was quick. Carrying her back up the hill was a task, but well worth it. And then Jerry Sittser writes, Alice is one of my heroes. That's pretty uncommon for somebody to decide, motivated by their love for Christ, to serve another person to that extent. And I read that, and maybe you hear that read and immediately convicted of the reality that I'm not sure that I would do that for another person, much less another person that wasn't even in my family. And yet we read things like that, and it seems to square with what Jesus has called of us, that we would, for some reason, be able to set aside our own needs, desires, agendas, to give ourselves sacrificially in the service of other people in the community. Sunday, we're going to look at a text from Paul's letter to the Galatians. It's Galatians 5, short passage, 5:13 to 15. And in there, Paul actually says that we're to be slaves to one another. That language is, I know, problematic in our context, and yet I don't think we can soften it, because and I'll unpack it for us. It needs to be unpacked, but Paul's really talking about a different kind of slavery than we know in our American context, but a kind of voluntary, joyful, loving slavery that we do for each other, that is rooted in the way that Jesus has treated us. In fact, been a slave to us, a voluntary, loving slave to us, which is too hard to comprehend, actually. We'd really encourage you to reflect on this passage. In the email, I actually linked a short overview of the letter of Galatians, which I think you might want to watch before Sunday. We're going to be reading just a section of Paul's letter, and it's good to have the whole context as we do so. really hope that you'll be with us in worship. We will celebrate the Lord's Supper together in both services. And as the COVID cases are on the rise again, I know none of us want to see that for lots of reasons, but we will continue to be cautious at this point. We'll still have a section of the sanctuary where masks are really encouraged for everybody, but not mandated, and then half the sanctuary where we really want to protect the space of those who want to be social distance and masked. And of course, we'll also be live streaming at 9 o'clock. So I know there's a space for all of us to worship in whatever way we feel most comfortable. I really look forward to gathering with you and thinking together about how we, right here at Faith Presbyterian Church, are called to serve one another. Wherever you are today, pray that you would know the love of God as your Father, the grace and peace of Christ his Son, and the fellowship of the Spirit. Peace.